So the way you can do it is two ways. In the chat box, so you got to open up your chat box, type it in, and I'll make sure that we see it. Or you can raise your hand. Most of us at this point probably know how to use Zoom because we're Zoom pros, since we live from home and work from home. But if you don't, open up your participant box, scroll over your name, and that's where you can raise your hand. You also can put thumbs ups and all that jazz. And if Zach asks questions, I believe there's ways to click yes and no and all that jazz. Is there still that? It used to be.
That I'm not sure of.
You know, it was. I think with the update, they might have gotten rid of that. That's no fun. Does anyone see it? You guys have it? No? All right. So I guess if you ask questions, we can just answer in the box or raise your hand.
That sounds good to me.
Oh, there's reactions on the bottom. So you can put a thumbs up.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. She's clapping. Becky. All right, so it is that time, guys. So most of you probably know me. But in case you don't, my name is Tina, personal training director at Exceed, and I've been really excited about doing some workshops with you guys and bringing in our experts. Today we have Zach from PhysioRx, and I'm going to let him give you the rundown of all of his certs and all that jazz that we're going to learn about from him today. So go ahead and take the reins.
Yeah, hey everybody. I see some friendly faces here, some people that I've worked with before and seen before, so this is pretty cool. So yeah, my name is Zach Friedenreich. I'm a doctor of physical therapy working with PhysioRx in New York City. I'm also an Exos performance specialist, which is basically just another performance certification. And some of the plyometric progressions that you'll see today do come from that certification. Some just come from, my experience working in the field, working with runners. So just before we jump into things here, how many of you guys are actually would call yourself runners or have been running for a long time? Anybody? Yeah. Okay.
You can put your thumbs up. Woohoo.
Yeah. And how many people is this new, since quarantine? Yeah, just kind of getting into it. It's a good way to get outside and kind of escape from things. Okay, for sure. And I know that some of you just, from speaking with you in the past, know what plyometrics are generally, but how many of you guys actually know the definition of a plyometric movement? Anybody? Tina, feel free to chime in if you want to throw a definition out there.
I don't know the scientific term, but it's basically explosive, right?
Yeah.
So explosive and reactive.
Absolutely. And that's a perfect starting point. So the way that I'll kind of define things, they definitely are explosive kind of speed strength movements. And the way that I think about it is it's any movement that involves muscles lengthening, which is then followed rapidly by the muscle shortening to produce force. So that is a little bit more of a scientific definition, but I'll put that in some more practical terms. Let's use somebody's favorite plyometric movement here. So if somebody wants to chime in with their favorite, we can use that as an example. And if we don't hear from anybody, we'll take Tina's favorite.
Come on, guys. Write it in the box.
Anybody?
Anybody? I'm going to give you guys a crazy one that you're going to have to do if you don't pick one.
Oh, God. You're going to make it tough to explain, too.
No. I honestly like it simple. I like tuck jumps, but I come from a gymnastics background, so I always pick something that relates to that. So that's my favorite.
Absolutely, yeah. A tuck jump is a great example. And that's actually a great one for runners as well. A little bit more advanced on the spectrum for a newer runner, I would say, but definitely a solid plyometric movement. We'll back up a little bit. Maybe we'll use like a squat jump instead, which is similar, just to explain things. But what you want to imagine when you're doing a squat jump, let me just adjust my camera a little bit here, everybody. As you come down into the squat position, right, your glutes, hamstrings are lengthening at the hips, quads are lengthening at the knee, right? And then as you explode up into the jump, now we have the glutes and hamstrings shortening at the hip, the quadriceps shortening at the knee, and that's what's really producing the force to get off the ground and into the air. So that's sort of the scientific definition of a of a plyometric movement there. And now we'll just quickly jump into why that actually matters. Why is that actually something important? Really, the importance is that for a lot of athletic movements, they involve some sort of plyometric component. So when you think of jumping, when you think of landing, when you think of cutting or changing direction, all of those things involve muscles having to lengthen and control the movement and then shorten to produce force in some way. And this is no different for runners. This is absolutely no different for runners. Running is basically one giant plyometric movement over and over and over and over again, right? As you run, you're essentially jumping from one foot to another. There's a period of time where both feet are off of the ground. And this, bound from foot to foot is a plyometric. And if I seen some new faces here, welcome. If your body is not prepared for this repeated, plyometric movement over and over and over again over the course of a 5, 6, 7+ mile run, we may run into some issues, some problems there. You may pick up a little injury, come up with some aches and pains, things of that nature. So incorporating these plyometrics a couple times a week, maybe 1 to 2 times a week if you're just starting out, maybe 2 to 3 if you're more experienced, will prepare your body, make your muscles and tendons more resilient and robust so that they can handle the stresses of those longer runs. So that's kind of the science. That's all the education kind of component that we'll talk about today. Any questions on anything that we just talked about real quick before we get moving? No, all good? All thumbs up? Cool.
Yeah.
All right, nice. So basically what we're going to do now is we're going to get up, we're going to get moving a little bit. Kind of the plan, just so you guys have an idea. We'll run through a quick dynamic warm up before we get into some of the plyo progressions. And these are some things that I'll incorporate in a dynamic warm up for myself and some of my clients and athletes before a run or even before activity in general. All right. So just some very basic things here. First thing we're going to start with is just a forward leg swing. So you can use a wall for a little bit of support if you have one, a chair, whatever it may be. If you don't, that's fine as well. All we're going to do, swing our leg forward and backward. We'll go about 15 to 20 times on each side. Good, couple more reps here. And we'll switch sides. And guys, feel free to chime in at any point in time if you have a question, like Tina said. More than happy to take a pause and answer whatever questions you might have.
This feels good on the hips, huh?
Yeah, get the hips moving, get the hips opened up, get the hamstrings lengthened a bit, ready to go for the running motion. Good. All right. And from there, we're going to do a similar movement. It's going to be a leg swing from side to side now. So basically that looks like so. And again, you can use the wall if you have it for a little bit of support.
This is a good one for the outer glute, right?
Yep. Outer glute, get the adductors as well. The groin muscle is kind of prepared for some of the movements that we're going to do. It does take a little bit of balance if you're not using the wall, but you guys will get it down with a little bit of time. Feel free to slow things down too.
I like that it has your body moving in a different direction of running. You're normally going forward, so this is kind of nice to keep you safe, I guess.
Absolutely, that's a great point too. We're going to be, running is a very linear motion, right? So you guys can switch sides, by the way, if you haven't. Running is a very linear motion, so a lot of what you're going to see right now is linear, kind of front to back sorts of movements, but it's also an important piece to train lateral movements as well, side to side, get out of the plane that running tends to be in so that your body is more resilient overall. It's, more athletic, able to handle different dynamic environments and situations. All right, so we're going to continue with the warm up a little bit here. We're going to do some high knees. I'm sure You guys have seen these before. So palms out in front, reaching your knees up to your hands, getting the heart rate going a little bit here. We'll do 20 reps of this as well. Everybody's looking good. It never gets easier doing these and talking at the same time. Good. All right, and you guys can relax there. So the next one is maybe something that some of you have seen before, maybe not. This is called, or at least I call this, the world's greatest stretch. So what you're going to do is take a nice big step back, like an exaggerated lunge. You're going to put your opposite hand down on the floor. So I'm on my left leg, my right hand is down on the floor. You're going to reach your elbow of the same leg that's in front down towards the floor, and then open all the way up towards the ceiling, reach as high as you can. And you're going to put both hands down on the floor on either side of your foot and kind of hips backward, getting a nice hamstring stretch. And then we'll switch sides. Good. So opposite leg now. You're going to step back with your left foot, nice big step. Left hand down on the floor, right elbow goes to the inside of your foot. And then you're rotating and reaching up towards the ceiling as far as you can. Right hand down on the floor and sitting your hips back. A nice hamstring stretch here. Good. Okay. We'll do one more of those on each side, okay? So back to the left side. Nice step back on the right foot. Elbow to the inside of your left foot. Rotate up towards the ceiling. Good. Reach back into a hamstring stretch. Last one here on the right side. Good. Reach back into the hamstring stretch. And relax. All right, good. How's everybody doing? Everybody feeling okay? Thumbs up? Yeah? Good. All right. Last thing that I usually incorporate into my dynamic warm-up is, again, a lateral movement just to switch things up from that front to back plane. So now we're just going to do a few lateral lunges on each side. So you're stepping out to the side, hips back, coming back up. We're going to alternate sides here. Stepping out. Let's do just 5 or 6 reps on each side here, just enough to get some of the muscles of the outside and inside of the hip working. Good. All right. Good. Everybody feeling warm, ready to go? Quite literally going to jump into the plyometrics now. So basically what we're going to do here is start with the basics. So I know that some of you are some newer runners. Maybe some of you haven't really done many plyometric movements in the past. So we're actually going to work on landing mechanics first. If you can't, properly land or accept your body's weight coming down from the air, we might run into some issues there. So, I want to make sure that we get the foundation down and start there. Once you really have a grasp of the landing mechanics, the world is your oyster. You can kind of go in a bunch of different directions in terms of plyometrics. All right. So the position that I'll call the base position is as such. It's a nice athletic position. Feet are a little bit wider than the hips. Knees are bent slightly. Hips are bent as well, kind of sitting back a little bit. So from the side, it looks like so. I'm not all the way in a deep squat. I'm not all the way up tall like so. It's somewhere right in between, nice athletic position, so that if I were to move and change direction, I can go wherever I please, all right? That's a really important piece that I think a lot of runners kind of miss in terms of plyometrics, all right? So we're gonna come back to that base position when we're talking about landing right now. So what I want everybody to do is come all the way up onto their toes, reach your hands up to the sky. This is called triple extension. This is the position that you'll be in as you change from the base position to a jump as we go forward, okay? To work on landing, we're gonna go from triple extension and snap down into that base position. So like Tina said earlier, it's a little bit of an explosive movement. So you wanna think about speed when it comes to this. So you're throwing your hands down and snapping into the base position. Good. I'm gonna come check a few of you guys out. Good. When you snap down, you wanna think about your feet sort of sliding apart a little bit. So there's a little bit of a pop to these movements. Good. Nice. There we go. That looks good. So take a break for a second. We're gonna run through that one more time, and I just want everybody to kind of watch my feet as I do these snap downs. That little bit of a pop out to the side, so your feet will end up a little wider than they start. Down. Let me see a couple more reps from all you guys here. Good, that's much better. That's looking much better this set. Frank and Becky got it down. Mark, you looked good. Askia, you're good. Tina, you look good as well. Nice. Good job, guys. All right. That's basically phase one. From there, we go into a split squat snap down, okay? So I'm gonna do this side on so that you guys can see a little bit more. Same starting position, right? Triple extension. Now we're snapping down into a split squat, all right? So just so you guys can see here, this is the finishing position. It's similar to the base position in my front leg, right? I'm bent at the knee, bent at the hip, nice and solid. I can move wherever I want from this position. So all the way up into triple extension, down into a split squat. Good. Let's do 5 reps on each side for this. Good, nice. Everyone's looking solid here. And just a quick note too, for the starting position, when you're in triple flexion, make sure you're coming all the way up onto your toes. Good. Balance is definitely challenging with some of these, so it'll take some time to really build the tolerance in terms of balance. Good. All right. Everybody wrapping those up. Nice. So we have the snap down to the base position. We have a snap down to a split squat. The next progression in terms of landing is going to be a snap down into single leg stance or onto a single leg. Okay. So again, similar start here, all the way up into triple extension. And then we're finishing on one leg. Same base position here. My knee is slightly bent. My hips are reaching back for the wall behind me. So it looks like so. Snap down onto one leg, really stick it, hold for about 3 seconds here. And this is definitely the most challenging of the 3 snap down variations here. So don't be discouraged if you're having a little trouble sticking the landing.
Should your arms be split like you're running when you land?
Yeah, you absolutely can split the arms. It'll provide a little bit more balance as well. The big thing with the arms also is that you're really driving them down towards the floor. That will help you kind of absorb some of that force and really slow your body down. Good.
You definitely find out which leg is stronger when you're doing this single leg one, huh?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, running really is a single leg sport in a lot of ways. So a lot of the plyometric training will progress to more single leg variations. And as Tina mentioned, you really find out quickly which leg is more prepared for these sorts of movements, which leg you have some better balance on, etc. Good. 1 or 2 more reps here, and then we'll kind of move on. Oh, Becky, I didn't mean you. You were good. All right, let's head on back here. So that's sort of the landing progression that I'll take a lot of runners through at the start. It's a great place to start teaching people plyometrics if they're new to it, but it also makes a really nice warm up before a strength session that may involve some plyometrics, or even a nice warm up just before you go out for your run. You know, you can incorporate a few of these into your sort of dynamic warm up routine that you may have. From there, now that we've gotten some of the basics down, we're gonna have a little bit of fun. We're gonna add some reaction into those movements. Okay. So basically, what I mean by that, I'm gonna have you guys start by hopping on your 2 feet up and down like so, and we're gonna start with the split squat variation. Okay. So I'm gonna come side on, and if I say right, what you're gonna do is drive your right foot backward into the split squat. So again, right down into the split squat, pause for 2 or 3 seconds, and then come back up and start hopping. All right. Left.
I see a little one doing it. Ask you.
Right.
Awesome.
Right. Left. Left. Right. Keep hopping. Right.
Can't hear you. There you go.
Oh.
For a second there. You're all good now.
Oh, sorry. I was wondering why nobody moved.
I know. It's like.
And last one, right. All right. Come back up. Take a breather for a sec. I'm throwing a lot at you right now. I'm trying to fit as much in as I can in this half-hour workshop here. So I know this is kind of tough. This isn't necessarily how we would always go about working in plyometrics. When you're doing these on your own, you really want to do a fewer number of repetitions per set so that you can work at your maximum effort level. Really focus on the quality of each repetition. So again, just a little piece of advice there. When you take these with you, lower number of repetitions, maybe 5 or 6 in a set on each side if they're a single leg variation. And maybe 2 sets at most for a couple of these movements. You don't want to do more than maybe 2, 3 of these movements, especially if they're within another or they're just part of a strength session that you happen to be doing here. All right. So from there, we're also going to do a reactive single leg snap down. Okay. So same idea. You're on both feet, bouncing up and down. If I say left, we're landing on the left leg. If I say right, we're landing on the right leg. So left, back up, left, good, back up, right, good, nice, bouncing again, left, everyone really sticking it there. and right.
I feel like we're playing red light, green light.
Right, it's kind of like Simon Says, right?
Yeah.
Left. Left. All right, good breather. Nice. So the reaction, it is a little bit more fun, a little bit more engaging for sure, but it also keeps your body guessing. Obviously, it's tough when you're on your own doing these, but if you can have somebody else that yells out a side for you to land on, or a number, 1 or 2, and that correlates to whichever leg you happen to be landing on, it's a great way to make these exercises a little bit more challenging and a little bit more realistic as well. While you're out on a run or you're playing a sport, you don't know what's coming at you. The environment is a lot more dynamic. So that's really what these are aimed to address there.
Something just to chime in there with that, Zach,
yeah.
Something you can do if you're on your own is you can have a timer app. Build yourself a timer, right? So you can set up a 5-minute or 2-minute or 3-minute window where every certain amount of seconds you hear a beep, and that's when you switch. So you can kind of create the challenge for yourself. And in your timer, I don't know if you guys have Seconds Pro, I use that. You can actually write what the move is or what to do. So if you have your timer set up, you could say left, right, and then when that beeps, you go. So it kind of can simulate that experience.
That's awesome.
So
yeah, that's a great
something
tip
to think about. And if anyone wants any help with that, let me know, because I use that app all the time for teaching, so I can guide you through if you need help.
That was called Seconds Pro?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I'll send you a link to it so you can check it out.
That would be amazing. Yeah, I might use that for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so what we can do here, we have a couple minutes left, is maybe 1 or 2 more running specific drills that are also plyometric movements. And then we'll see what we have left in terms of showing you a few more advanced kind of concepts here from a plyometrics perspective, okay? So running drills, you'll see a lot of track athletes actually practicing these a lot. More long distance or middle distance runners as well will use them as a warm up or prior to doing a workout on the track. So the first one is just going to be A skips. If you start by kind of bouncing up and down again, that's really the best way to get the rhythm. And then you're driving your foot up towards the ceiling, bending at the knee. And then you can also alternate once you get the rhythm down. It's almost like a little double hop there. Good. Nice. Everyone's looking good here. You want to really try and get the arm swing going as well, opposite of the leg that's driving up towards the ceiling. Good. And these make a really nice component of the dynamic warm-up at the very least, but you can also incorporate them at the end of a strength session as part of a finisher or something along those lines as a more running specific movement here. Good. And relax. We'll move on to the next thing. The next one that I'll show you is called the C skip. So similar kind of movement. You're bouncing up and down on your feet, and you're going to go out in front and then out to the side. Front, side, front, side. Good. Nice, Ryan. These definitely take a little bit of coordination too, so some practice with these is only going to help you guys out. But everybody looks pretty solid too. If this is their first time doing these, you guys are doing great. All right, good. And relax here. So A skips, C skips. And then the next more running specific plyometric that we'll talk about are single leg exchanges. So if you have a wall available, you can definitely do these at the wall. That's probably the best way to learn them. If you don't have access to a wall at the moment, don't worry, you can still try them without it. I'll demo them without the wall first, and then we'll see how things are going, and if need be, I can demo them at the wall also, okay? So, single leg exchange. Basically, you're starting in this sort of single leg stance position as if you were running. bent at the elbow to about 90 degrees. And on go, so go, you're driving the opposite leg down towards the floor and basically switching the position of your two legs here. Go. Go.
Woo.
These are tough from a balance perspective, but they really simulate the mechanics of running and not only prepare your body to absorb force a little bit better, but will also improve your ability to produce force while you're out on a run. So overall, you know, help reduce risk of injury and improve your overall performance.
Cool. Guys, if you start seeing these moves in my classes now,
you're feel free to snag some of them, Tina.
I will. I like them.
Good, good. Yeah, I see Becky doing them at the wall, which is great. The way that you would do these at the wall if you wanted to is to stand directly in front of it with your hands kind of up against the wall at shoulder height. You would then take about a step back from the wall. So I'm going to have to put my back to you to use this wall, but you'll get a sense. So hands about shoulder height, take a step back from the wall. You're in that same single leg stance position, and then you're switching legs like so. So that would be a little bit of an easier kind of modification for things here. All right. Good. Yeah, I see some of you giving it a try. That's awesome.
And it's 4:30, so I don't know if anyone has to skedaddle. But I don't know, Zach, if you have other stuff we want to do. If you guys can stay, or should we have a part 2? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we could save some of the other ones for a part 2. We could do a little more advanced class now that we got some of the basics down. I think that would be a nice way to go about it.
Are you guys up for that? Yeah.
Awesome.
Would this time work for you guys? Do you want to do it next week? Can you do it, Zach, next week?
Yeah, I can definitely do it next week.
You guys want to come again next week? This time? Yes?
Yeah,
all right, so let's make that official, because I think there's a lot more we can do, and this is fun, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
absolutely.
Why don't we take 1 or 2 minutes, since it is past 4:30, give an opportunity for any questions in the box. If you don't have questions right now, I will be sending up a follow-up email. So you'll have our email addresses where you can shoot us a note there, and I'll confirm with the back end and put you guys in for next week, part 2 with Zach and Physio Runners Workshop. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right, any questions, anyone? IT band and plantar fasciitis movements for those. Do you have that?
That's tough right off the bat. One really nice one will for the plantar fasciitis, is a little bit of a rock back, kind of a big toe stretch, and some mobility for the foot. If you're on your hands and knees like so, you really want to dig your feet into the ground, dig your toes into the ground, and you're just gonna rock all the way back towards your heels. Hold that position, drive the big toes through the floor, and then come back up to the start. So that's definitely plantar fasciitis here. Mm-hmm. For IT band, it really depends on what's going on and where your pain is. If it's more, at the hip, we would focus on a lot of, lateral hip strength work. And if it's more down at the knee, it also depends a little bit, focusing on some specific strengthening exercises for the knee and focusing on whatever specific movements may be exacerbating your pain.
So that might be, Ryan, that might be a good thing to shoot in an email to us, and I'll send along our email addresses, because then we can find out what exactly is uncomfortable for you and hone in on what moves are best for you, exercises and
definitely.
stretches.
Yeah, I just don't want to give you anything blindly.
Yeah, and then we have one more question, and then we have to bounce. But Mark Bloom has a question. Anything for hip labrum tear? Something I get a bit of dead quad. Sometimes I get a bit of dead quad.
That'd be a similar sort of a situation. It's a little more complex. Everyone's a little bit different in terms of what they respond best to and what the best course of action is. A lot of times, again, similar kind of strengthening principles will apply to the outside of the hip. If you're a runner, focusing on single leg exercises is going to be huge for you to promote stability at the hip and really make sure you're prepared for the stresses that you're placing on your body.
Cool. So some balance work, some stability work, and then advancing to hopping and plyometric work once it doesn't hurt type of thing?
Absolutely. Yeah. The plyometric stuff is definitely later on in the rehab process, especially for a hip labral issue.
Yeah. So make sure you can stand on one foot and feel okay before you jump on it, basically.
Right.
Cool. Exactly. This has been so much fun. Guys, I promise you I will be sending you a follow-up with everything we did, and we will book next week as soon as I can get in touch with our gal, Sammy, to get it in the books. It'll be on there for you to sign up. Thank you guys so much for coming. This was awesome. Thank you, Zach.
Of course. Thank you for having me. Thank you for everybody for coming, too. Look forward to working with you next time. Talk
to you guys soon. Yes. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. It's beautiful out.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.